A grand jury will decide if the police shooting in Lodo was justified. The Denver DA made the rare decision to pass off the decision after seeing the body camera video we're about to show you.
You'll see Denver police shoot a man a split second after he tosses away his gun and throws his hands in the air. Police fired, 7 people were hurt. Here's 9 News reporter Kelly Rinke.
This could have been a lot worse, right? By all accounts, he should have been dead.
This video shows the moment Denver police shot Jordan Waddy on a crowded street in Lodo. Police say the 21-year-old pointed a gun at them. His attorney says the body camera videos tell a different story.
He is disarming, right? So he doesn't have a weapon on him. He's throwing it down. He's not pointing at anybody.
It happens in split seconds, so let's slow it down. Waddy looks like he's trying to pull something out of his pocket. His lawyer, Tyrone Glover, says this view shows his client surrendering. He says Waddy throws a gun down and puts his hands up before officers shoot.
I think that they exhibited extreme indifference for not only Mr. Waddy's lives, but the lives of all of those people that were coming out of Larimer Beer Hall.
3 officers fired 7 times. 6 bystanders were injured, and DPD admitted for the first time they were responsible for that. Attorney Chris Whitney is representing 3 of those bystanders. He says one just had surgery to remove an officer's bullet.
I could have been there, any one of my friends, any one of my family, and it's incredibly reckless, and officers should know better.
This is the fight outside Larimer Beer Hall that initially caught the attention of the officers. Denver police say they saw Waddy punch another person. Body camera video shows officers walking along Larimer, police say, to stop Waddy. Waddy walks onto the street. He takes his hands out of his pockets and puts them in the air before walking back towards the crowd on the sidewalk. Another angle shows an officer pointing his gun towards the group. DPD says that officer fired once.
They should have not fired. There's no reason why they should have fired on him.
Waddy's lawyer says he does plan to sue. They're deciding whether to do that before or after the grand jury decision. Waddy faces a charge for illegally possessing a gun as a felon. Kyle.
So, Kelly, all along, police have been saying that he pointed the gun at officers. When you slow it down frame by frame by frame, you can see him pulling out the gun to toss it, kind of like holding the muzzle. But those officers only got to see it once, real time, split second.
Yeah. Today, we have the luxury of being able to go frame by frame. This literally happened in split seconds. Obviously, officers don't have the ability to pause and figure out what is going on, but today we have the luxury of doing that by looking at the video.
We know more about it than we did before. It's certainly a more complete picture. All right, Kelly Rinke, thank you.
It was really wet today, especially for those living in parts of Broomfield and Boulder counties. Some roads turned to rivers and some parks were flooded for a few hours too. All things considered, it was a best case scenario though, because the drainage system in Broomfield did its job. It was also some much needed rainfall for our area. Here's 9 News reporter Lise De Leon taking a closer look.
It's been a while since folks in Broomfield saw the amount of rain that they did on Tuesday.
Yeah, this rainfall was a significant event. It was probably the biggest one since the floods.
The 2013 floods, that is, says Ken Rutt, Deputy Director of Public Works for Broomfield.
We had 3.5 inches in like 3 hours. So it definitely put the system to the test.
He's talking about Broomfield's stormwater system, designed to drain all this water that shut down a few roads for a few hours.
So the drainage system did what it was supposed to do, move the water through the community into Big Dry Creek so it can transfer down through the drainage system.
While the recent moisture overall is good for the Denver Metro's drought, meteorologists say it hasn't made it to parts of the state where it's really needed.
The most severe drought conditions right now are out over the plains, especially the northeast plains.
Bruno Rodriguez with the National Weather Service in Boulder says that area received quite a bit less rainfall in the last few days compared to the Denver Metro.
So that's a concern for agriculture and also a fire risk in the long term. It takes a while to really come out of exceptional drought conditions like those that are in place in the northeast plains. So in the long term, we're definitely going to be looking at elevated fire danger up in the plains through the fall.
Rain can be a nice sight during dry times.
You know, obviously we would prefer it to be a little slower, but it's always welcome to have any moisture we can get.
So in Broomfield's case, the National Weather Service said that 3.5 inches of rainfall that they recorded, that's around a quarter of the average amount of precipitation that they get in an entire year. Alex, their open space park system that runs through a lot of the area of Broomfield is also designed as part of their stormwater system too.
Yeah, good to see that drainage infrastructure do its job. And then we also saw counties and forests lifting their burn bans as well. So some good things came out of all this rain.
Absolutely. Yeah, they have 150 miles worth of underground stormwater system too. So
impressive. All right, Luis, thank you. The streets in Broomfield drained much faster during this morning's downpour compared to Denver's rainstorm last Sunday. It's not that the streets are any different in Broomfield, but the pipes under the streets are bigger. The city of Denver tells us the city has small and undated storm pipes, some of which can be more than 100 years old. He said if there was a blank check, essentially they would upgrade every single storm pipe in the city.
Aha! So that's the problem, Lauren. Now we know. It's really been put to the test here over the last week or so.
That's right, and we got a lot of rain yesterday and today, so I have some rain totals for you. And Broomfield was really the hot spot this morning, over 3.5 inches of rain this afternoon. Erie got almost 3 inches. We saw just over 2.25 in Louisville. Superior almost made it to 2 inches. Most of Metro Denver, though, didn't see too much, maybe around 1/2 inch for the majority of us. And of course, this is all a day after South Metro and Aurora got a couple of inches of rain just yesterday. So plenty of areas getting that much needed rainfall. Today, though, we also saw cooler temperatures. We never made it out of the low 70s in Denver. We maxed out at 71 degrees here. We got to around 80 degrees up in Greeley, but most of the Front Range and Eastern Plains stayed in the 70s, maybe low 80s in some areas. We made it to the low 80s out west. The high country maxed out in the 60s. Right now, those temperatures cooling down. We're at 67 degrees in Denver. Most of the Front Range and Eastern Plains in the 60s, but we can still see those mid 70s out west. 75 right now in Grand Junction. 40s and 50s in the high country. So we're going to continue to monitor this HD Doppler radar. The lingering showers finally moved their way out of Denver, but we're still seeing those stronger storms off in the southeastern corner of the state. So this is where my focus is going to be through the rest of the evening. This is also where we still have the remaining flood alerts. Most of the flood alerts across the state have been allowed to expire early, but we do still have flood watches in effect for southern portions of the high country and then the southeastern corner of the state. This is going to be through the rest of the evening. So outside of those storms pushing on out to the southeast, we're going to see overnight lows in the upper 50s, cooler than what we're used to these past couple of days. But tomorrow, those temperatures start to rebound. We're back in the mid 80s with partly cloudy skies. We're going to watch for scattered storms, mostly to the west and south tomorrow. So I'll have more details on all of that, plus your full 7-day forecast just ahead.
Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney of Wyoming has lost her GOP primary tonight in a blowout, punished by voters there for refusing to go along with President Trump's lie about the 2020 election. The Associated Press called the race early for Cheney's opponent, Harry Hegeman, who's endorsed by Trump. Cheney, staunchly conservative Republican, voted to impeach Trump following the January 6th insurrection, and Cheney has helped lead the House committee investigating the attempted coup. Trump's former legal advisor, Colorado's Jenna Ellis, is being ordered by a judge here that she must go to Georgia and testify before a grand jury investigating whether the Trump team illegally interfered in the 2020 election. Prosecutors want to know whether Ellis helped to coordinate and plan legislative hearings in Georgia and other states where the Trump team's false allegations of election fraud were promoted. Ellis is scheduled to testify before a special grand jury next Thursday.
Colorado State Patrol says they're still looking into a crash that killed a mom in Loveland last week. It happened on I-25 near Meade when a truck pulling an excavator crashed into an overpass. The debris hit Megan Arneson's car, killing her and hurting a 10-year-old inside. We talked to Megan's friend today, who said that 10-year-old was her son. They were driving home after a day at Waterworld.
They were inseparable, and I know that when you hear stories like this and stuff, it's always sad, but Joe and Megan were literally together all the time.
CSP says no charges have been filed against the trucking company that hit the overpass, but that investigation is still going on.
Friends of a man killed last year in Commerce City are hoping to get new information that may lead to an arrest in the case. The friends say Eric Cerament Rodriguez was one of 2 people killed in a parking lot on East 62nd Avenue near Vasquez Boulevard in October. Commerce City police said that they identified a person of interest, but decided that that person was not the killer. Since then, friends tell us no updates. As they get closer to the 1-year mark, they hope that changes.
If anyone knows anything that could have been going on, please just reach out. Think about if it was you in that place, if it was you that lost your brother, your son, your best friend.
We reached out to Commerce City Police for an update on the case, and they have not yet responded.
but it certainly beats sleeping under the bridge where I was before I started living in my car.
Because of where he's able to park, he feels a sense of stability.
Aurora's crackdown on homelessness is going beyond how the city spends its money. It's now trying to affect how citizens donate their own cash.
Western states missed their deadline to share how they plan to cut down use of the Colorado River, and the feds don't seem to be doing a whole lot about it.